Okay, hi guys, welcome back. I am very pleased to be joined by Zach from Hakatime Rugby. How are you doing, Zach?
Doing well, thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us early in the morning. You're just waking up. You've managed to spill your coffee already, so
That's right.
yeah, that's it.
As I mentioned, I'm not much of a morning person, but we'll make it work.
The excitement of the tour must be getting to you already. So, just first thoughts: New Zealand facing Ireland. What are you thinking? Just literally off the bat, your thoughts of it? Excited, nervous?
Oh, definitely excited. I think this is a really good test of where the All Blacks are at. I mean, we saw last year there were some interesting results, probably lower performance than we're used to with this All Black squad. So, there's been a lot made about the potential decline of the All Blacks, about where we are relative to the Northern Hemisphere teams, and I think we're going to get all the answers in this series. I actually think against Ireland as well, we're building a bit of a modern day rivalry. I mean, you look at the last sort of 5 games, 6 games, they're pretty evenly spread across both teams. So I'm definitely excited for this. There are a lot of question marks going into the World Cup as well, so I'm sure we'll get into selection discussions. And that'll give us a real indicator on how the All Blacks are planning to play against Ireland. So, yeah, I'm excited to say the least, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the record of Ireland in the past, 5 meetings, they've won 3. But
won 3 of the last 5, that's right.
Yeah, but none of them in New Zealand, of course. Everyone going to New Zealand's going to struggle, aren't they? But this is, like you say, a good test. If Ireland do well in New Zealand and say even win the series, would that be alarm bells, or would it, is this kind of what they need?
I think it would definitely be alarm bells for the All Blacks. I think there is an expectation that the All Blacks should win this at home, especially. I mean, the results that we've seen, recently against Ireland, that game last year, I mean, it was relatively close on paper, but if we're honest, and I've gone back and watched that game, Ireland certainly dominated that match. So it really took a couple of moments of brilliance from the All Blacks to keep close in that game. But really, they should have been blown off the park. So I feel like, the scoreline flattered the All Blacks a little bit there. That being said, we're still expected to win at home. New Zealand is still a difficult place to win. I mean, Eden Park in particular, the All Blacks haven't lost there for like the last 30 years or something. So it is a bit of a fortress in New Zealand, but in Eden Park in particular. So that first game is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking of style of play then, since you brought it up, I remember reporting on the Ireland-New Zealand game, and I thought New Zealand tried to play, all-out attack, like amazing rugby from the off before they've even got into the game. So I thought they would try. Maybe I'm trying to say they're trying a bit too hard. Do you think? Yeah, do you think they're going to go slightly more reserved, build into the game more?
I don't think they will. I think that is typically the All Blacks style. I think what we've seen previously, though, is that we've had the luxury of having players that can actually execute on the biggest stage and under immense pressure. But this is a different All Blacks team now. We've seen in the last 5 years there has been a real churn in terms of player retirements and players kind of going out of the squad. So I think that style of play is very much in the All Blacks DNA. And to go away from that would be a step too far for, I think, a lot of these players. But what they're really trying to work on is combinations, so that we have a bit more cohesion when we're trying to make, those expansive plays. And also just temperament. I just thought that the All Blacks were knocked off their usual composure. So those will be 2 areas I think the All Blacks will be really trying to bed down this time is can you stand up under pressure, and can we start to nail some of those combinations against very, very good opposition?
Well, I think you're right. If you want to get those answers, this Irish team is literally the perfect team to have down there.
Definitely.
I've never seen them more joined up. They know exactly what they're doing. It literally is like clockwork at the moment for them. I mean, it helps that a lot of their players, or most of their players, play for Leinster week in, week out. So,
yes.
you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a really good performance, and then it's can the All Blacks beat that? So I think it's just perfectly set up. If Ireland are ever going to win, I think this is the time.
This is it. Yeah, this is it. That's right. I think
I
think the All Blacks think as well that if we can get over the top of what is a very good Irish team, then we're trending in the right direction heading into the World Cup.
Before we get into the All Blacks team, are there any Irish players that you particularly rate or you're a bit worried about?
I'll just throw a couple of names out there. So I think the loose forward battle is going to be, really, really good here. I think Caelan Doris is one player in particular that I've liked. Just sort of looking and observing from afar, those games that I have watched in the Six Nations and also previously, I actually thought going back a couple of years, he might be a chance to make the Lion squad. New Zealand's got a bit of a disrupted loose forward trio as well, so that battle's going to be really interesting. And then James Lowe, probably the other one for me, who I'm looking at. Gives great impact. I really like that he comes off his wing a lot and sort of just acts like a battering ram in there, sort of in the middle of the park as well. So those two players I think are going to, the All Blacks are really going to focus on those two.
So it's the Kiwi that you're worried about, yeah? James Lowe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's on fire. They're all on form. You're going to get a good game. So go on then. Let's talk selection, because I've got so many names down here, and I'd love you to shed some light on who's in form, who's not. Let's start with the front row, because I think that's all changed a bit, maybe. But Moody's out.
Yes.
So where are they going to go? Loose head prop straight in there.
Just as a general observation, I think for and this is more looking at Ian Foster and his mindset, he definitely favors incumbents overall. So, and the best version of the All Blacks, and this is just sort of generally across all positions, the best version of the All Blacks is, guys that have had a decent amount of test exposure with a couple of genuine bolters. So when I look at the All Black squad, a lot of the names are going to be names that we've seen in and around previously. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll have too many hot takes, but there are a couple of genuine bolters that I can see forcing selection here. So, I'll just go through generally across the various props. Guys like Nepolalala, Ofa Tuangafasi, George Bauer has sort of come on and has shown pretty good form lately. And this is with considering, recent injuries as well and player unavailability. Ethan de Groot is someone I think still there or thereabouts. Alex Hodgman, obviously, Blues going pretty well. But as a genuine bolter, I'd be looking at someone like Ollie Norris from the Chiefs. He's a young guy, dynamic. He's everything you want in an All Black prop. But what might be interesting is, back to your comment around, will the All Blacks try to play a more reserved style, or at least try and build into games? Maybe someone like Owen Franks starts to get a look in as well. He's
really
long out of but he's recently come back to New Zealand. He's playing really well. But if they are worried about the set piece, he is someone that can really anchor the set piece. Now he was out of favor, obviously, because he's limited in terms of his ball playing ability. But if they did want to look at someone that can really anchor a scrum and give you a good 30, 40, 50 minutes, maybe that's someone that they look at.
That's a really interesting call, because the Irish front row is really good. Their props, their starting props, Porter, Furlong, they are some of the best in the world. So they could just go for solidity in the front row and try and neutralise them there. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, even if it's just sort of, if we look at the 23 squad makeup, even if you're talking, 40 minutes out of a really good scrummaging expert just to anchor the first half, maybe that's an option.
And is it going to go back to Taylor and Coles at hooker?
Yeah, I suspect so. Turkey Aho has played pretty well, even in his limited minutes in the All Blacks as well. So I think those will be the three that you'll likely see in selection. But Cody Taylor and Dan Cole's very much a lock, I think.
Okay, so your starting front row is Bauer, Taylor?
So I'd probably go there. And then Cody Taylor, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, and what your tight head was?
I would probably go Nepolalala. He's got experience there. Ofa Tuangafasi can play both sides, really. Look, I would start George Bauer and Ofa Tuangafasi.
Yeah, that is the front row I had down.
Yeah,
I could prove it to you, but trust me, that was my guess. I do think this might upset some New Zealand fans. I think the Irish might have a stronger front row, maybe.
I would probably agree with that. Yeah, certainly at scrum. I think you're probably right.
In second rows, is it simply Whitelock and Retallick again, plus one other?
Yeah, it's sad to say probably is the short answer. I mean, I do like Tupovai. I think he's quite a dynamic guy. So he would be someone that I would say could push into that first team selection.
So third choice he is?
Yeah, third choice could be Scott Barrett. I'm just throwing names out here. If I was selecting, I would be looking at, I'd be going Sam Whitelock, Tupovai myself. I like a bit of youth sort of exposed in the tight five. I think he will go, Ian Foster will go Whitelock, Retallick. And that third spot is probably Scott Barrett because he can cover loose forward as well.
Yeah, that's useful. So if he covers loose forward, who starts in the loose forward? I mean, he's going to play Kane, I imagine.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate that he came out and named Kane as the captain a couple of years ago. It's it's sort of pinning all your hopes on a single player, and I get the idea of having someone who has been in the team a long time, had his mentorship under the great Richie McCaw, but you've kind of put yourself into a corner now because he's not, to me, he is not the best 7, 6, or 8 in the country at the moment. So
Papali'i is the best 7, right?
Yeah, Papali'i is the best 7.
Yeah.
And obviously captain of the Blues going well. Artie Severe goes without saying. And then coming in at number 6, I would go Akira Ioane, playing really, really well, athletic, dynamic. But you're painting yourself into a corner, you've got to play Sam Cane. So it's probably a combination. I think Dalton Papali'i misses out. I think you'll be looking at a combination of Cane, Ioane, and Severe.
So is there no chance of Papali'i playing 6? Or do you think that's no chance?
Akira Ioane is going well. It's unlikely. I mean, they'll be looking at Papali'i saying you can cover 7 or 6. So maybe, 7, 6, or 8. So maybe they play him off the bench, given his versatility. Akira Ioane is a bit more of a specialist, 6.
And Tutu, Jacobson?
So Tutu probably doesn't make the game day 23. He definitely makes the squad. Jacobson is close. You've got another potential bolter, Peter Gus Sawakula, who for the Chiefs.
Okay, I don't know much about him. Tell me about him.
Yeah, big, huge human being. So big unit. Maybe if they're looking for more of a battering ram, interesting to see if they take a chance on him at this stage going into the World Cup. But Luke Jacobson is certainly more of a proven name at the top level. So I think you're right. They'll probably lean more towards Luke Jacobson, but possibly a genuine bolter.
Thanks for the scoop. That's good. I mean, the Irish back row, I think, is super impressive. Very settled as well. When you've got Doris on one side, Van der Fleer and Conan, I think it's the perfect combo. So if they can get those 3 out against the All Blacks, it's going to be a fantastic battle. So scrum half, again, is it as easy as Aaron Smith and that is it, full stop?
Aaron Smith, yes. He's definitely starting. It'll be interesting to see the makeup because there are a couple of guys who have been around the All Blacks. There is a genuine bolter that everyone is talking about right now in Folau Fakatava. So to me, that combination of Aaron Smith and Folau Fakatava off the bench for the Highlanders has been great. It's turned a couple of matches. We're going to see that for the All Blacks as well.
So what is eligibility, Fakatava? Is he eligible for a couple of countries?
Yeah, I think they just came out and announced he's been in New Zealand quite a while now. So I think with the residency rules, there were a few question marks about, when he landed. But I think they've just come out the last couple of weeks and said he is eligible for selection. So he will feature, in my view, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make the 36-man squad. And then I'd be even more surprised if he makes the squad and then doesn't actually come off the bench there. Yeah. They'll be wanting to inject him now. Now's kind of the time to put, these players that you're targeting for the World Cup under a bit of pressure against really good opposition.
Yeah, he's the 9 I want to see, to hopefully take over from Smith. He's so exciting, isn't he? And like you say, they play together. Everything ticks the box, doesn't it there? So hopefully. And fly half, are there any bolters that fly half, or is it simply Bowden Barrett and Richie Mo'unga and that's it?
Yeah, yes, is the short answer. I think, I mean, it's probably a bit too much to start introducing a new fly half at this stage, going into a World Cup cycle. I think they might see that as a step too far. And you do have a bit of coverage there. David Havili has played first five. I think Geordie's had a crack. If you select TJ Perinara as your third, he's had some exposure at fly half, although not recommended in the big games, that's for sure. So there's a bit of coverage there.
Okay, Barrett looks in good form. I mean, it's great to see him playing well. So you think he starts?
Yes, I think so. I think given the way the Blues are going, obviously his history with the All Blacks, he's back in form. Yeah, I think we see Beauden Barrett starting.
Great. So the most interesting position, I think, is centre. There's a lot of good players here. I mean, I might be getting carried away by the hype, but I so want to see Tuivasa Sheck play 12. Just, him and Rico Ioane would just be absolute blockbuster. But is it a sensible combination, or should they play someone else?
Is it sensible? It's a big call putting him in. I mean, they bought him into the All Blacks, into New Zealand rugby for a reason. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't make the All Blacks. I almost feel like there's a bit of commercial pressure to kind of include someone like that when you've made pinned quite a bit on him to bring him in. And there's a lot of competition between rugby league and rugby union down here. So I think he gets a black jersey, if I'm honest with you. Is he the best choice? Will he start? I can't see it. I think they'll want to put him into the All Blacks, probably play him later in the year, and see how he goes. It's probably David Havili. Rico Ioane is looking like the best option at centre. If you remember a couple of years ago, I was a bit of a critic of that decision, but now I'm very much a fan of him. He's quick, obviously, all the skills, and Rico Ioane.
What about Quinn Papaya? I thought he was the incumbent of 12, or is he not?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a bit of a disrupted year last year with Leonard Brown and Goodhue kind of in and out of the squad, and so they kind of tried a couple of combinations there of Tupaya Havili options. Quite a big man as well there in the midfield. So I think they'd probably go there. But I'd love to see Tuivasa Sheck. I mean, he's very raw though. He's still sort of plying his trade, obviously. So it would be a big call to introduce him.
So maybe not the first test. Maybe one of the other tests.
Maybe not the first test. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what
bring
would
him
you
in the squad, give him some exposure, and then
What would you start with then in the first test?
David Havili, Rico Ioane.
Okay. So I mean, I remember Havili having a little bit of a shocker when he toured last year, but you think he's over that now?
Yeah, well, I think he has a lot of upside, probably more so than Quinn Papaya for me. So we've seen him play, really well at Super Rugby level, and he's it's a big step up to international, obviously, but he's someone who I think if you can get the best out of him, you put yourself in a really competitive position come World Cup time. So I'd like to see them persevere with him personally over Quinn Papaya, and then the option of Roger Tuivasa Sheck, if he could actually find his feet and inject a bit of that sort of excitement. It's interesting because to my eye he plays a lot similarly to Sonny Bill Williams.
I was literally thinking the same thing. Impact sub.
Impact sub, gets over the gain line, great offload. So I think we might see him used as that kind of role, that Sonny Bill off the bench type role.
Could he play on the wing as well, or is that too much to ask of him?
He definitely could. He hasn't had any time on the wing really for the Blues, so that might be a big call to introduce him. Since he hasn't played rugby union since high school before this sort of run, so that might be a big call putting him on the wing with the position.
Well, more as a replacement who could cover the wing if needs be.
Possibly.
No, okay. So he needs time there, basically.
He needs time,
yeah. Now, the back three, I remember you describing as the most kind of unstable job role you can possibly have in New Zealand. And once again, I've written down a stack of players here. I'm not even going to make any suggestions. Just tell me your back three, because there's so many combos here.
Okay. Hard to leave Caleb Clark out on his form. So to me, he starts left wing. Severis is going pretty well as well. has been around a bit. So to me, it's Caleb Clark and Severis are probably your first choice wingers. I would like to see Lester Fainga'anuku get a run off the bench. He's probably been top try scorer in Super Rugby at the moment, damaging ball runner, can really inject something off the bench. So I'd like to see him, with the sort of reserve selection, if he can make the squad. But again, that would be another bolter. He's been sort of around the All Blacks conversation for a while, and they haven't selected him because he's a bit limited, but he can cover centre or wing. So, those three. The reason I haven't said Will Jordan, obviously, is because not on the wing. No, not on the wing.
Okay. So fullback?
Will Jordan. I think his form right now is too hard to deny.
It's too good. He's just too good.
Yeah, he's just too good. So, and you probably at the stage now where I know Geordie Barrett is the incumbent. Foster probably goes to Geordie Barrett at the moment, but if I was selecting Will Jordan, you just can't keep him out right now. And he is a specialist fullback, great on the wing, but I'd be playing him in his preferred role.
I've just got a feeling they will play Will Jordan on the wing because he's too good not to play, but they're going to play Barrett at 15.
Yeah, they may opt for a bit of stability, let's say. And Geordie Barrett has been there, many times, great under the high ball, Geordie Barrett. So you could be right. I would just like to see them take a chance on, well, maybe not a chance, but, have a crack at someone who is in their best position. Is, to play him out of position would be a mistake in my opinion.
Okay. So what are your back subs, by the way?
Geordie.
So Geordie Barrett's on the bench.
Yep, there's been a lot made about Geordie Barrett covering 12. I don't know if you've seen that recent debate.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of informed opinions are saying that's a good idea. I don't buy it myself. I think it's a big call.
Sounds a bit desperate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like you're trying to find places for names, which you should really be starting with putting the best names in their best positions and kind of working things around that. So to me, Geordie Barrett off the bench, he can cover wing, fullback. Fainga'anuku would be the other name I'd put on the bench, obviously.
So Richie Mo'unga, does he not make the bench?
You probably need. You probably go Richie Mo'unga. The backs on the bench are probably Folau Fakatava, Richie Mo'unga, and Geordie Barrett.
Okay, yeah, I think so. Okay, so no Julian Surveyor, no Rayasi, no. Bridge,
Julian Surveyor, no. George Bridge might be the unlucky name of this All Black squad. I think, as I said, lack of job security on the wings. I think he might be a one name that misses out.
And no two of us are check on the bench for now.
There won't be room. I just don't think there will be room. Yeah. I think if we look at those names, I think you probably have to go with Fakatava, Mo'unga, and Barrett.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay. It's pretty much the team roughly I was thinking of with a few changes there. I wondered what would happen at 6. I think you're basically saying Papali's covering 7 if needs be.
Yeah.
So as in a replacement if there's an injury.
Yeah, and it's only because they put themselves in a corner by naming Sam Cane as the captain 2 years ago.
Yeah. And it'll be fascinating to see what they do with Barrett and Will Jordan. I think they missed Caleb Clark massively last year. Yeah, that real cutting edge. Yeah. He looks really good.
Yeah, this is probably the question mark of having Will Jordan on the wing. The only criticism that I would add is that we probably lacked a little bit of go forward. Getting over the advantage line. So while he can certainly create, you need a battering ram. You need a couple of battering rams in the back line, and I just don't think we've had as much of that last year. It's
something England massively suffered with this year in the Six Nations. They didn't select anyone with power, and they struggled. So before we've got about 5 minutes left here. So prediction. This is what everyone wants to know. What's the score going to be? 3-0. Are you going to say 3-0?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. Oh wow.
Well, the sit on the fence answer is 2-1, but I actually think
I meant 3-0 to Ireland.
hey, that's not out of the realms of possibilities, right? You might get an absolute shocker from the All Blacks, but I think whoever wins the first test at Eden Park wins the series.
Yeah.
So everything for me is hinging on that test. As I say, the All Blacks haven't been beaten there in 30 years, so it's going to be hard for them to be top there. But if anyone can do it, this Irish team looks to be one of the most threatening.
Well, and I think if Ireland are going to win a game, that first test is the one. Ireland are super hot. They're going to hit the ground running, and maybe New Zealand might not be quite coordinated enough.
Yeah,
maybe
that's right. Well, we did see the back end of the tour last year. Those last few games, we started to come unstuck a little bit. So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, a lot of these players are coming in with good form though from the All Blacks. So, it's going to sound, as you would expect. I guess there's nothing sort of surprising, but I think it's probably 2-1 All Blacks, and the All Blacks pick up their first game at Eden Park, and then probably the first two, and then maybe drop the third. I think is how I'll lean.
I'm going to make a huge call. Well, not really. I think it's 2-1 to the All Blacks, but I think Ireland win the first game, and then the All Blacks come storming back.
Interesting.
But you don't know. That's what's great about this tour. It really is. Exactly. Anyone could win it. It's almost. The pressure's kind of on the All Blacks really, because no one's expecting Ireland to win in New Zealand, even though they are a fantastic team. So it's kind of a shot to nothing for them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just a huge, there's always a lot of criticism on the All Blacks in New Zealand. There's a lot of question marks around this team. I can tell you, if Ireland beat the All Blacks at Eden Park, being the first team to do so in 30 years, mate, that will be a massive statement. And I think, if that happens, I would struggle to see the All Blacks getting back into the series. That being said, I don't think they'll lose that first game. Just personally, I think there's too much on the line. There's too much on the line.
It's just building fantastically. I absolutely can't wait. And also, they've got midweek games now as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They've just announced New Zealand Māori will be playing against an expanded Irish squad. So I'm not sure how many players they'll be picking, but there'll be a good number of Irish players coming down. And I'm loving just the idea of these old-fashioned tours. Get a couple of midweek games, make it a full event. If fans can travel down for that, even better. It should be a really good atmosphere.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Zach. That was brilliant. I'm going to let you go now because our time's nearly running out, but hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Definitely will. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me.